It's my feel-good breakfast show.
The grandeur that intro brings to this man, it is undeniable. So we chatted to you about pets a little earlier. You know, our pets, they may be four-legged, furry, sometimes feathery, but they do make us feel a whole lot of, fun, and they fill us with joy and love, and that's why it can be stressful when we need to take our beloved animal babies for urgent medical care.
No, that's so true, Carl. Now we're recalling once again upon the legal guidance of our friend and expert in law. It's the director at legalese.co.za, Eitan Stern, in the building, and he's going to be answering the question about, I need to take my beloved pet to the vet. So now what? Eitan Stern in the building. How are you doing this morning, brother?
I'm cool. I wish I was in the building.
Yeah, we miss seeing your live, long, luscious hair flowing in our studio, but this will do, man. I'll take this.
Yes.
Yeah, wait for this wave to be over, and then we can hang out again.
Yeah.
Cool. But you look very cozy. You got this very sort of like a teddy bear type of thing going on for you, which is great. It's wonderful.
I'm inspired by you guys. I'm wearing Woolworths now.
Oh, look at you. Well
welcome
done,
to the
man.
familia.
Yes, my brother.
I want to look like Ryle. And you.
Yes, just now all you need to do is start intermittent fasting and you'll be fine. Anyway, let's move on. So, I know that under we got some questions for you. So, under which license or degree is a person allowed to practice as a veterinary professional in South Africa? It's a very, very important first question.
Okay, so just like medicine and human medicine is very regulated, animal medicine is regulated. So in order to practice as a vet, you need to be registered with the South African Veterinary Association, and you need to have a qualification in either veterinary science or veterinary nursing, or one of the degrees that you can get from the University of Veterinary Science. There's one in Pretoria. There might be others in South Africa, but the main one is in Pretoria. So as soon as you've got a degree, you're immediately registered. If you don't have a degree with them, but you maybe got a degree from another country, you can apply to them and still get registered. But you can't, you can't practice medicine for animals without being registered with the South African Veterinary Association.
Oh, all right. Okay, so let's put a hypothetical into the equation here. Let's say I have gone to my vet, or I had an experience with him, but I suspect to find that the vet's not actually as professional as I may have liked, or maybe they're not even licensed or operational properly. How do we go about maybe reporting them or reporting this so that we can protect other people from not falling into the same trap?
All right. So there's the logo on the screen, the South African Veterinary Council. So if you suspect that a vet has not been licensed or practicing in an irregular way, it's very, very important that you report it to them. There's, of course, also the SPCA, which are there to take reports of cruelty to animals, so you can report it to them. But if it's specifically for a vet, the South African Veterinary Council would definitely want to know. And I suppose, it's up to all of us. Animals can't speak for themselves in many ways. So, it's up to all of us to keep our eyes and ears open for them. So if you do spot something that you're unhappy with a vet, or with someone acting as a vet who you don't think is licensed, definitely report it.
I think that Ryle and you, Eitan, and myself, we're all sort of the same type of big-hearted people. And if we find an animal that is not in our personal care, that needs emergency assistance, is it upon us to take them to an emergency vet, or should they rather go to a shelter? I think this is a big one, though, because I want to help every single animal that I see, but of course there are protocols around this as well.
Totally. So it's a really good question. So look, if you see an animal that's clearly in distress, and if you've seen an animal that's been hit by a car, as an example, then certainly go to a vet. There'll be lots of vets around. You could Google and find an emergency vet. And if you suspect an animal is in danger, then certainly, that's what the SPCA is for, to investigate it. But it's really important that people don't waste the SPCA's time as well. So if your neighbor's dog, who's well looked after and, is wearing a little pink jersey and is barking too loud, don't go calling the SPCA, rather go talk to your neighbor. The SPCA is there for when there are serious matters. But if you do see an animal that's been hurt, whether it's a dog or a cat or a farm animal or otherwise, then the SPCA are the people to call.
Eitan Stern, I'm absolutely loving this conversation, getting educated already. And I think we're going to pick up on this a little bit later, because we're going to tackle some of the deeper issues when it comes to really protecting and looking out for these furry balls of love. But don't go anywhere, Mzansi. Eitan Stern will be back, and we'll be continuing this conversation about So Now What in a minute.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back to Feel Good Breakfast Show, and what an intro. It gets me every time. But we're continuing our conversation with lawyer and director at legalese.co.za, Eitan Stern, as he breaks down the legal ins and outs of veterinary practice in South Africa. Eitan, welcome back, my brother.
How's it going?
Hey, you got something in your lap there.
Yeah.
Oh, my, you know,
That lady gets to bring her doggy onto the TV. I'm bringing mine
Eitan,
as well.
since the first conversation that we had, did you just sing your animal to sleep? What's going on? It's
what
so
is,
cold.
yeah, what is happening?
This is one of the world's most docile dogs. This is one of the dogs that doesn't want to go outside and pee during winter. He just wants to sleep.
You know, I've actually never believed it before, Raul, but you know when they say that, sometimes owners start looking like their dogs? Did you see that?
If I put myself in that position and look at him, he looks the same, actually.
Now, listen, there's a lot of time that goes into getting that coat's mane to look the way that it does. So.
Look, I mean, we've all got owners and pet combinations that we love to look at. I don't know, do you look like your dog at all?
I think I totally look like my dog.
I would love to see what your
dog have a
animal
mole.
looks like. Hey, there's
Chili!
Who's that? Chili?
That's Chili. It's one
I
of my
see you
Boston
both
Terriers.
went for the lighter complexion.
Can you see how
mole.
Chili does not like photos? Every time I'm trying to get a good photo, he looks at me like, why are you doing this?
Have you paid for this? But I like, Chili's got a little mohawk as well, I see.
It's a
like
small
white
stripe. That's
white,
correct.
Yeah, he's got a little mohawk going down.
And your dog? Does your dog have a six-pack? Can I ask you that?
He doesn't have a six-pack, but he can hike. Check, that's
Is
me
it?
and my little hockey bums in the mountain. Yeah, my little husky. He's the one that keeps me fit, so I'm blessed. But Eitan, let's get into the serious conversation here, because we can spend all day oohing and awing over our lovers, our furry lovers. But look, let's talk about something a bit more. Let's talk about something a bit more serious, because what was that? Sorry.
Yes. No. Carry on. Let's get serious here.
Darn.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I've seen situations where you get, and I mean, everybody loves their pets. I mean, clearly, all of us here share that same love. But when we are maybe being a little bit naive, and a professional might come in and say, listen, you actually need to start feeding your dog some dog food or the diet or grooming or something along the lines. And we're like, no, I know what's best for my animal. But clearly, we actually don't. Can a legal professional in that instance potentially intervene, especially if it's something that's going to potentially cause a massive risk to our animal?
Yes, totally. So in South Africa, animals are protected by what's called the Animal Protection Act. So that's the legal framework which protects our animals. So if you have an animal, or even if it's not your animal, but it's someone else's, we have a duty to not harm animals. So if you see if someone's got a dog that they're not feeding, or they've got an animal like a farm animal that they aren't properly able to care for, then certainly that is illegal to not care for an animal properly. It's not something you should do because it's nice and ethical. It's totally illegal to harm an animal. So if you're a vet, you would have an obligation to kind of raise it. The rest of us, whether we've got a legal obligation or not, that's a different question. But certainly I think we've got an ethical one to raise it to the SPCA if we see that there's been animal cruelty. And if there's anyone out there isn't taking good enough care of the animal, not feeding them, keeping them, in circumstances that are cruel, that is illegal, and someone should tell the SPCA or the police about it.
You know, it takes a village to make sure that the animals in our areas are safe. It's so important for us to have that awareness. Now, if a person raises awareness about a situation involving animal endangerment to a vet professional, is that vet professional obliged to step in and perhaps get involved?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question as well. According to the kind of veterinary association, if you are registered with them, then you would have an obligation. But I think just an important thing to stress again, it's important for us to not waste the time of these organizations. So, they do get a lot of complaints where animals aren't really in danger, so that the dog barking too much next door, that's very different to the dog barking too much next door because it's been abandoned and left out alone for weeks at a time. So I think, we must always start off by just chatting to our neighbors first before we're reporting animal cruelty.
Oh, yeah, man. Look, I think it's so important that we are looking out for these furry balls of love. And I do mean that because, again, they don't have a voice of their own. And it's important, like Carl says, to have our community helping and assisting in these cases. So, Eitan, thank you for educating us and letting us know what we can and cannot do when it comes to supporting these beautiful fur balls. And, yeah, we hope that this also helped you, Mzansi, to gain a better understanding and a knowledge of how to best provide and care for the animals that are in need. But, Eitan, we cannot thank you enough for coming through. Enjoy those belly rubs. I'm talking to your dog now, not you. And have a beautiful day.
You too, guys. Take care.
Thank you so much. And now, more dogs coming through. I don't know if you have a voice for your dog, but I've got a proper voice for my dog when I chat to it. So I'm going to tell you now, we are joined by our favorite dog whisperer now. So make sure you listen up because you're going to need to hear some of these great pearls of wisdom.